Good day, class. Welcome to another edition of cyber security. Today, we'll be talking about operating system security. Operating system security. Now, what do we understand by the word operating system security in cyber security? Operating system security are the measures or controls being implemented within the body system in order to shield the system against threats and attack from within the system itself and outside the system. These are the measures, and also these are the controls that have been implemented during operating system. And we have several measures and several controls in order for an operating system to be more secured. The first one, we have principle of least privilege. Principle of least privilege. Now, what do you understand by this principle? This principle says that users should only have access to what is absolutely necessary to complete his or her task at a moment in order to limit an attack or in order to avoid vulnerability. That is the first principle of operating system security. Then we have another principle, which is principle of defense in depth. Principle of defense in depth. Now, what does this principle uh, implies? This principle says when when users are using multiple security measures, they must use it to defend an asset. I mean, they must use it to limit an attack in case of uh, in case of failure. Or should we put it in this way? Principle of defense in depth says that when user is using multiple security measures to defend an asset, he must use it in such a way that uh, it it makes it looks as if he's using it to defend a particular asset in case of failure. That is what the principle says. Then we have another principle which says fail safe stance. Fail safe stance. What does this principle implies in operating system security? It says if any system or functions fail and in an unsafe way, if any system or functions fails in an unsafe way, its failure should occur in such a way as to in such a way minimize to the lowest means of harm, to minimize possible harm or destruction. The principle of fail-safe stance says if any system or function fails in an unsafe way, maybe during an operating system, the system malfunctioned, it should occur in such a way as to minimize possible harm, to minimize vulnerability to attackers. This is what the principle talks about. And we have another principle which says separation of duties. Separation of duties. And what does this principle implies? This principle talks about uh, helping in prevention of fraud and error. This principle helps in prevention of frauds and error. That is, when a task is typically engaged, or when a user is on a task, that particular task that the user is being engaged on should be breaking down or should be splitted, and each task that has been splitted should be engaged by different individual to avoid uh, heavy vulnerabilities by the attackers. This is what the principle says in operating system. And we have another one which says security by design. Security by design. This principle is actually talking about in, uh, during a design phase, during a design phase in security process or procedures, security protocols and tools should be incorporated during the phase. I mean, during the build up phase instead of post build up. That is, uh, this principle is talking about incorporating security protocols and tools into operating system during its design phase. During the design phase instead of trying to add it up after the design phase. That is trying to add it up post build up. That is, this principle is talking about adding some protocols and tools during a design phase in security design instead of adding it after the design phase has been done. So these are the little principle about operating system security that we'll be talking about today. But as time goes, we will keep on bringing out more and more and more and more. We have several principles of operating system, but due to the short classics that we are having on this platform, so we are trying to bring out the major principle and explain it all. Uh, See you next class. Thank you.